Welcome back to another review, and welcome to essentially the wrap-up of the Mercedes-Benz SUV reviews. Well, the big SUV reviews. So I've recently just done the GLC, I've also just done the GLS, and now you're looking at the GLE. And you're probably wondering, that's a lot of letters, what does that actually mean? Well, just like Mercedes-Benz has got the C-Class, the E-Class, the S-Class, this is essentially the same naming coming into the SUVs. So the GLC is essentially the C-Class of SUVs in terms of shape and offering. You've then got the GLS, which is S-Class. Well done. And in today's one, we're looking at the E-Class of SUVs, the GLE. And it's very nice. It's got a lot to offer. It looks really good. So starting with the design, I think that it's done an absolutely epic job in terms of staying up to date in 2024. Now, this isn't a new model from the ground up. This is just a facelift. So you've got brand new bumpers, and in this AMG line, ooh, it looks good. Especially the way that they've brought in the sportier bumpers. It looks very aggressive all the way around. And that's carried through into the inside here too. Because on the inside, you've got these upgraded leather seats. You've got all of this almost like stainless brushed steel looking interior trim, which I think is really nice. It adds a good contrast to the interior here, makes it a little bit more brighter and a little bit more sporty too. I think it's better than taking like an old-fashioned wood looking offering here, or just a plain gloss black, because that's always a nightmare. So I think the inside looks good. You've got leather, panoramic sunroof, digital displays. You've got an exterior that looks sporty, it looks big, it looks wide. You've got wide tires. You've also got the wheel arches that have got like that little extra wide bit to them, which I think is pretty cool because it adds extra width to the car. So overall, a very good looking car from the outside and the inside. And the entire GLE range is available in 2 body shapes and 3 engine options. 2, 3. So you've got the 2 body styles. You've got the standard SUV, which is what I'm in. Then you've also got the coupe. So that's obviously the sportier sloping roofline at the back, which I think also looks very nice. And I've said it in my GLC review, GLC coupe review, that I think that Mercedes-Benz is currently owning my likability of coupes, SUV coupes, in my opinion. I'm not a big fan of how the BMWs look. I'm not a fan of necessarily the X4 and the X6, but I think Mercedes-Benz has done an amazing job from a design point of view to make the coupes look epic. So those are the 2 body styles, and then onto the engine options, you've got 3 of them. You've got the 300D, which is the one I'm in right now, which is a turbocharged 2-liter turbo diesel engine, and it puts out 198 kilowatts and 550 newton meters of torque. You've then also got another diesel option, which is the 450D, which is then a 3-liter inline 6 turbo diesel engine, as well as a 450, which is then the petrol equivalent of that. And I'll put all of the stats on screen so you can see exactly which engine option you like and exactly what power figures they put out. Okay, so the 300D, yes, it's not a 3-liter. As I've said, it's a 2-liter. It's a 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo diesel. It's got some good numbers, 550 newton meters of torque. But just take into account that all of that is going towards carrying this huge body around. So in my opinion, I do feel like you can feel that the car is heavy, but it's got some good acceleration. It's just let down by a little bit of turbo lag. So when you've got some good power, but off the line it's not that quick, it does make the car feel a little bit slower. But on the uphills, when you put your foot down, I think there's more than enough torque to keep you going. I think it's putting a lot of pressure on the poor little 2-liter 4-cylinder. But as you see, I put my foot down, a little bit of a lag, but then we're eventually off. And then it tends to carry the weight, and it carries that speed really nicely. So I do think that they've given this 2-liter just enough power for what it can handle in terms of this engine size. But obviously, if you step up into the 450D, you're going to experience a lot more power, and you definitely won't then feel the weight of this car being carried around. And sending that power to all of the wheels, and I say all of the wheels because this car's got the 4MATIC, so almost every Mercedes-Benz SUV now comes standard with 4MATIC, so that's the all-wheel drive. And sending all of the power to all 4 wheels is a 9-speed automatic transmission, and it's battery smooth. It works really nicely. It's drops gears exactly when you need it to. Like I've said, the only letdown of the whole drivetrain, in my opinion, is the turbo lag, which shouldn't really happen because you also have the EQ boost, which is Mercedes-Benz's 48-volt mild hybrid system, that also helps fill those gaps, gives you a little bit more power when you put your foot down, gives you also a whole bunch of extra torque. I think it's like an additional 200 Newton meters and an extra 17 kilowatts in the realm of that. So you can add those numbers on top of the standard kilowatts and Newton meters, and that's what it's going to give you as and when the battery has developed enough charge within it, to give you that extra boost when you need it. But I haven't really been feeling it off the line. Like I've said, like when you're driving, it feels really good. But yeah, from a standstill, you do feel a bit of turbo lag, but once you're going, I don't think there's anything to complain about. The engine pulls nicely, you've got more than enough power. The gearbox is working overtime because it's just doing what it needs to. You don't need to know what's happening. It's dropping gears. It's doing everything that you need quietly down there. So yeah, an overall really good Mercedes-Benz experience because it's luxury. It's giving off a premium driving style. It's quiet, and you've got the power when you need it. And then talking about the premium Mercedes-Benz Drive, and I had to go check the spec sheet on this one because I had to see if it had the air suspension option on this car or not, and it didn't. So I was very impressed to find out how smooth, resilient and comfortable the standard suspension is on this GLE, because it doesn't have air suspension, but it feels like it does. And then to talk a little bit more around the technology and everything this car has to offer. So in front of the driver, you've got the two digital displays, the one for the driver giving off your speed and all the information that you can even change the themes of at the simple swap of the buttons on the little haptic digital buttons on the steering wheel, which again is wrapped in full Nappa leather, so it's very comfortable. My favorite steering wheel in the game, as you know. And then there's also the infotainment system over here, which is touchscreen. You can also manage all the settings on the car, wireless Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, everything that you're going to need. Now this is a facelift model, it's not a new one, so you're not going to get the big tablet display that the new cars are getting these days. That'll probably come in the next one, but I don't mind that. I like the layout. I think it's still premium. I think it still looks modern. I don't think it does stand out as something dated in 2024, so I'm pleased by that. You've also got, as I've mentioned, the aluminium looking brushed metal trim, as well as soft touch materials all over. Very premium looking style in here. Everything's wrapped in leather. Solid build quality, and I think I need to commend Mercedes-Benz on that because they've come a long way in terms of the build quality. Some of them, let's say 2 years back, not so good, creaky plastics, you could squeak and move things and it wasn't the best, but in here, solid as a rock. But yeah, the seats are comfortable, they're also heated, they're electronic, they've got memory function, and at the simple touch of this button over there, I can even operate that seat if I want to move things around. You've got lots of storage. You've got a little concertina drawer that opens up over here. Very satisfying. You've got some wireless charging, cup holders. You've got storage in the door bins, which are also really big, so that's quite convenient. And then down in the center here too, you've got the little trackpad, which would have come with the older gen Mercedes-Benz. So again, this shows its age, but I think that it's still relevant and it still works. So if you're not a fan of doing touchscreens, you can operate everything here through the little mouse pad. You've also got lots of USBs dotted all around the interior, from the front here to the middle, in the back. You're always going to be connected and charged wherever you're going. You've got a huge panoramic sunroof, and you've also here got optioned the high quality 3D Burmester audio system, which is, again, for me, always has to be part of the tick boxes. If you are going to be selecting and getting a new GLE, you have to get the premium Burmester audio because it's really good. You've got subwoofers, which are even on top of the dash, which is probably the reason why I don't have a heads-up display on this car, which you can get, but I think that it's one of those, if you get this, you can't have that, or if you have that, you can't have this. So I'm okay with not having heads-up display to have better audio. You'll be pleasantly surprised with how much space there is in the back seats for your passengers. I mean, me sitting back there, I've got so much legroom, I don't even know what to do with all of it. And this seat is currently in my driving position. I'm 1.87 meters tall. So I'm quite a tall dude, but for me to have this much legroom back there is very impressive and a huge pass in my book. Unfortunately, your passengers in the rear do not have their own climate control. They only get the fan back there that's you kind of operating as the driver. So, I mean, that's just under 2 million rand. I would have expected the passengers in the rear to have at least the climate control to do what they want back there, which they don't. And you also get, which seems like an entry-level armrest, and yes, armrest, but in other Mercs you get the armrest that you can pull down, and you pull out a little tray that you can even put your phone in or tablets, as well as you click it again and you get your cup holders. But here it's just integrated cup holders, which I find a little bit weird. And then looking at the boot space, and there's not much more to say than the boot is huge. You've got a huge boot. You've even got a spare wheel, which looks like a space saver. But at the end of the day, I think I'd rather take that over a tire repair kit any day. And then in terms of driving dynamics, this gives off very premium German driving style. So it sits, it's solid, it's very comfortable. The car goes exactly where you want it to. You know exactly what the car is doing at any given time. There's no guessing games around that. But you can also change up the driving style if you want to, and you can do that through the drive. You can do that through the dynamic select down in the bottom here, where you're able to choose between eco, comfort, sport, individual, as well as off-road. And in off-road, that just changes the drive up a little bit more. So it's going to also change the traction that the car's giving out, and it also changes the menu. So you're able to get a whole different bespoke off-road driving menu too. And if you opted for air suspension, the car would also lift and rise depending on what you need to. Unfortunately, this one doesn't, so you're going to get a static suspension that won't move. But I think that's also quite cool if you are going to be going off-road to have that air suspension option. And then in terms of fuel consumption, now Mercedes-Benz claims around 6.8 liters per 100 Ks for this. I haven't been able to get anywhere near that, unfortunately. I've been around the 9s and a halves. I've been driving it quite nicely. I've done a lot of highway driving, and it just hasn't come down. I did a short trip from the airport to Santon, not very long, but I did get 8. This car has also been kitted out with the 360 camera system, which again is very good. The cameras are super clear, it's crispy, and it's nice to see that, because some of the previous models that only come with reverse cameras and things like that aren't the best. So I'm glad to see that the quality has also been lifted in terms of the video quality in this car. So it's nice to see all the way around the car whenever you need to. And in terms of then some driving technology, this car's also got the adaptive cruise control as well as the lane centering system. So it's always going to detect if the car's been drifting slightly out of lane. It's going to give you a quick little vibrate and push you back in, which I think is quite nice. And I think it's just something that the Germans have also spent the time to develop properly. So it's not like some of the Chinese brands that will automatically just push you into the lane when it knows that you're going out. But this one's going to kind of predict it, gradually just push you in. And I think that's also the difference between premium luxury German SUVs and some of the Chinese ones. Okay, now if you're looking for a GLE or any Mercedes-Benz or any Mercedes-Benz SUV, then go check one out on ChangeCars.co.za. They're a website that sells new and used cars, but the best thing about them is that they vet and check every single dealership that sells cars on their website. So they know exactly who they are and what they're selling, which means they know exactly the type of quality that they're selling on ChangeCars.co.za. Their website also offers some cool things, like obviously being able to search by what you can afford, but you can even search by what you can afford per month. So not only do you see the total price of the car, but you can also search by the monthly premium that suits your budget, which I think is really nice to hone in on finding the exact car that you can find and afford. Their website is also a hub for everything automotive, so you can watch car reviews, you can read articles, and do some other financial things like actually going to work out what you can afford per month through their finance calculator, and even bringing a quote from car dealerships that aren't on ChangeCars. You bring them a quote for a car, not only will they match the quote, but they'll beat it too. So go check out ChangeCars.co.za. They're also a proud partner of Greg Dennis Reviews. And then the verdict in the form of my GDR test. Should you get it? Should you drive it? Or should you remove it from the list of cars that you're looking at? I would say go and get it. So if you're in the market for a luxury large SUV like the GLE, I don't think that you're going to be disappointed at all. The drive quality is great. The premium touches are great. The build quality is great. The fuel consumption is okay. But I think you've got a really good engine up here. You've got a reliable car. There's no creaks and bumps at all. I think it looks epic. And there's so much space in here. It's comfortable. You've got all the technology. And I don't think it's too pricey bad. I don't think it's too badly priced for everything you're getting in here, especially for the technology, the looks, and everything that this Mercedes-Benz has to offer. So I would say go and get this GLE. So thanks for watching another Greg Dennis review. I hope you learned a lot more about the GLE, and I hope you've learned a lot more about the other Mercedes-Benz SUVs as well if you've watched the rest of my videos. And if you have, please will you drop a like below. And if you want to see more videos like this and other car related content, then please will you subscribe. And until then, I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.